Now I have two Kawasaki Ninjas GPX750Rs, a track bike and a street bike. And there's a lot to like about these bikes. From the late earlys and early 90s, this was a great series of bikes. It has so many features that are worth appreciating. And I customized this to suit my personal needs. Custom paintwork, custom wheel treatment. Every step of the way, I was thinking, I want to finish this bike to the best of my ability. And when I'm done, I want to have this bike for the rest of my life. And today, I just want to get out on the open road and ride the wheels off it. It is time for the open road. The open road is calling. As soon as you get to the riding area and open up the throttle a few times, go through the gears, the first thing you wish is, oh, I wish I had a quick shifter. This bike likes to rev, it likes to make high RPM music. Of course, it's a short stroke engine. It loves to rev. It sounds like an Indy car with that muzzy muffler. And then you start thinking, wow, would I love to have a quick shifter? Well, I have never found any manufacturer that makes one. Maybe they do and I just haven't found it. But it has a unique shift linkage, unlike modern bikes. And I don't think they make a quick shifter. And that's one of the things I really like about the bike. It has an old school feel. You have to go through the gears yourself. It doesn't shift automatically like modern bikes do. And every part of it is just, it gives you that feeling you're on an old school bike. And the reality is, there's a reality to it. You really are on an old school bike. You don't have to fake it. One of the features of the bike that I really like is the old school styling. It has the look of a bike from that era, the end of the 80s, early 90s, and the look, and you can still see the motor. I like that. Some of the custom parts I made for this bike, the bar risers, they're infinitely adjustable. Took me a lot of time to figure out exactly what height I wanted to have them. Lowering and raising the forks many times till I found the optimum setting for me. Making the ergonomics fit me was a big thing. It's actually a big thing for any bike. And getting those risers right at the right angle so you just have just the right amount of weight on the front wheel, and that they're comfortable. They're comfortable on a short ride, on a long ride, and it's a personal thing. Everybody I know has a personal riding position they enjoy, and this bike is very comfortable. The bike is very photogenic in that green paint, Camaro green paint, and a Yamaha blue paint, racing blue. The paint job I came up with many years ago. I did 100 sketches before I made this paint job, and I'm glad I did, because I'm going to be looking at it pretty much for the rest of my life. And if you look close. Some of the little custom features, like the headlights being buried inside the fairing, and people always look at it and say, "Where's the headlight? Where's the headlight?" It's fun sometimes when they can't figure it out. But then you turn the key and boop, the headlights come on. The Muzzy muffler. I've done separate videos just on the muffler, polishing it. How I experimented with 5, 6 different mufflers. The sound, especially when you back off the gas at very high RPM, wonderful. The mirrors, I have experimented with all different fairing mounted mirrors, bar end, bar top, and these are the only ones that I feel comfortable that I can see what's behind me. So between the radar detector and being able to see what's behind me, I've had a pretty good record of avoiding getting a net thrown over me and and put in jail. Now, other little custom touches. I made that tail section is all fiberglass, and that was a real labor of love. And making my own tail tidy, I have a mold that I've made several other ones for the FCR and the R1. Getting that whole back end cleaned up was a big job. The bike is very photogenic, and you can look at, from this angle, you can see it has a 16-inch front wheel that's much smaller than the 18-inch back wheel. So it limits you on tires, but the Pirelli Sport Demons have served me well. I've probably had 5 different sets of them on here. I've had other brands, not even close. The Sport Demons seem to work well for me. There's a lot of little details like polishing that swing and arm. There's a dedicated video of how many hours went into polishing that swing and arm when I did the full restoration. And at that point in time, I mean, it was the total bike was apart. And polishing that swing arm is one of the most popular videos on my channel. It has, I don't know why, I have no idea why, but it is. But anyway, it's the view from the cockpit that makes this bike special too. It's really good for shooting video because you can shoot over the windshield and the radar detector. That makes every ride worthwhile. The few bikes I have that don't have an ability to carry the radar detector now are really a problem, and I will work on that in the future. But for right now, having a Valentine and good mirrors, it really works for me. And the first time you ride this bike, whether it's on the street or the track, you go to turn into the first hairpin or the first big sweeper, and you go, whoa, the bike has power steering. Wow, it feels so, it lays right in there. It's got a planted feel, and a lot of it is that 16-inch front wheel. Now, I really don't know. Manufacturers abandoned that years ago, but I know I've ridden Luciano's big Kawasaki with the 16-inch wheels, the 1000cc one. It handles the same. It's got a very, very, very nimble feeling. And again, one of the parts of the bike I'm not crazy about is the shift, the linkage. It's done with a fork. It's very different than, say, on an R1 or on a modern bike, but it seems to work. It's never been a problem, but it's one of the idiosyncrasies of this bike for sure. Now, one thing is really nice about the bike too, I think part of it is the classic styling from that era. It's very appealing to a lot of people that collect motorcycles, and these bikes have held their value very well for a lot of reasons, and they really have stood the test of time. Now, the bike handles great, it's very nimble, it's got beautiful throttle response, and this one has had a lot of work done on the carburetors because it's got pods. It does not have the stock air filter. And that's from the track days when we fooled around with it absolutely endlessly. Now, every bike that I've ever bought, it seems like there's a unique story, something unbelievable. You can't even explain to people. This bike was found by Luciano in a really rough neighborhood, and we went down in the middle of a terrible snowstorm when you weren't even supposed to be out on the road, dug this bike out of a container that was leaking, and I'm so glad I don't even have video of that day. And Luciano negotiated a great price. We couldn't get it into the truck, but this fellow that we bought it from had a bunch of friends. I think they were basketball players. They picked the bike up and put it right in the truck. It didn't run. It needed work. It had a gas tank that hadn't had gas in it for many years, but we got it at a cheap price. And every time I look back at this, and I think, was that ever a great investment? And I spent the whole winter, and a lot of it is still on video. You can go out to the channel and look at all the construction, reconstruction, polishing, doing the wheels, painting the wheels. There's probably 200 videos of doing the restoration. But I think at the end of it, what could I have done with my life during those 500 hours that would have paid me better dividends? Once I'm back from a ride, I always think how lucky I am to have the humble bike collection that I have, and to have the life I have with Karen and the farm and the fish and everything. But this bike is really a unique part of my humble collection. It is very different than all the other bikes, has a very different sound, a very different feel, and all of the people to a man that have ever taken a test ride on it come back with the same exact thing. It feels a lot lighter than it really is, and it feels like a bike that it's like an Indy car, the sound. Everybody seems to notice that, and almost everybody notices all the work I put into that paintwork. But anyway, all that's out on the channel. But the real reason for doing any restoration is to get in the saddle and just ride the wheels off it. Now, if you're new to our channel, we have a very, very eclectic channel. One of the new features we have now is some of the videos are grouped into groups that you can access all the videos for one category in one mouse click. And it should be very convenient and very handy. Just check out the feature on the main screen playlist. And thanks to everybody for supporting the channel. We appreciate your support, and it makes this channel possible with all the things we do. The painting, the wheels, the polishing. And please take a second or two and hit the like button. And thanks everyone for watching.